Hi, welcome all of you, and we are going to cover the next topic for this exam, which is iPATE exam. You know, there are some topics which are very common to various exams like iPATE exam and your engineering services exam preliminary and IRMS. Environment is one such topic, and the questions, obviously, the depth of question can be different. Like for the iPATE exam, those of you who have registered for iPATE exam and they must have seen the mock test they have uploaded. So the kind of questions, the level of questions is very simple, straightforward question they are going to ask, and the question directly from the topic they are going to ask you. In engineering services paper 1, question may not be that straight or direct, question may be little ticklish which can be asked to you, but the topics are common. Question ka depth and level can be different, but I believe that the topics which we are to cover is going to be same. So I have already covered this topic, Kyoto Protocol, in the previous lecture for this exam, that is iPATE exam. And there is a section professional ability, and in the professional ability you have environmental laws. If you ask me, this topic is very simple. I mean, it's not a difficult topic, and there are 4 or 5 topics which we can easily cover. And for majority of iPATE, I think topics are simple only, and you are not to go much in depth, but you are to cover all the topics. So it is not vertical preparation, enrichment, or difficult level, but it is horizontal preparation. That means you have to cover more or less all the topics. There is cognitive ability, there's a professional ability, and then the science technical ability. So you have to cover majority. Syllabus is more, so that is what you have to cover. So you have already done gate wala part, so technical ability you already know. Physics ke and chemistry ke topics you need to brush up. I will discuss how it is to be done. And professional ability mein there are different topics, you need to have knowledge of that. So as in the previous lecture also, Kyoto Protocol I discussed with you, that was not much difficult. If you go through once, then you can do that. Second is whatever I'm going to cover, like now I'm going to cover this Ministry of Environment and Forest and key functions of this. So whatever notes I'm showing here to you, that will come to your email ID. If you must have filled the Google form which is attached with every video, including this Google form, if you fill, you will get this material in your email ID. Listen this video carefully, understand this video, and the material keep on noting down, keep on jotting down the material, we keep on getting the material, and usko stack करके अपने पास रखो so that you can prepare it for the time of exam. You need not to fill Google form for every video. Don't do that. Fill the Google form only once. Google form for iPad you fill only once, and don't fill again and again. Only once. If you fill, your mail is there with us and you will keep on getting the mails. If within a week you don't get the mail, that means your mail ID is not good, because every week we are providing now 2 to 3 topics minimum. We are sending you the mail. So you keep preparing on that. Don't fill mail again and again. Don't fill Google form again and again. Just once, and keep reading these topics. So now the topic which I've taken is Ministry of Environment, Forest, and what are the key functions for that. Then I'm going to cover this Central Pollution Control Board, its key function. This topic I have already covered. So these are 4 or 5 topics only. We are going to cover these topics. Okay, Ministry of Environment and Forest. Actually now it is called Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Why? Because Kyoto Protocol may I have already discussed with you that from Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, climate change was observed, and various governments or various countries became very sensitive for that, and that is how this entire process started. To control greenhouse gas emission, carbon dioxide emission को control करने के लिए Kyoto Protocol was there 1997, if I'm not wrong. So after that, conference of parties kept on going, and then we had these kind of meetings, latest in Paris and all. So this all we have covered. Now environment, this of Ministry and Forest, its name changed, and this new name में climate change भी हमने add किया. You need to know, you need to visit its website, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So let's me now discuss this particular topic with you. I will go for line by line. I will read line by line, and we will understand the meaning of these all point. What is the most important point that we are going to discuss now? So Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is the nodal agency, or in the administrative structure of central government. So that means it is one of the ministries under central government. Mr. Prakash Javadekar, who was earlier HRD minister, now he is minister in Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So what is the main function of this is, these lines are very important: planning, promotion, coordination, oversee the implementation of India's environmental and forest policies and programs. You see, ऑलरेडी यू नो दैट लॉ बनाने का काम लेजिस्लेचर करता है. लेजिस्लेचर मीन्स या तो पार्लियामेंट या स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली. तो लॉ बनाने का काम जो है वो मिनिस्टर्स का नहीं होता, या मिनिस्ट्री का नहीं होता, या ब्यूरोक्रेट्स का नहीं होता. implementation of those laws एंड पॉलिसीज इज द वर्क ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री. तो वही यहां पे लिखा है कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की एक मिनिस्ट्री है, दिस इज द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. फॉरेस्ट मिनिस्ट्री स्टेट गवर्नमेंट में भी होती है, एंड फॉरेस्ट आपका एक सब्जेक्ट है जिसपे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का कंट्रोल है. जैसे पुलिस सर्विसेज है, पुलिस पे किसका कंट्रोल है, तो आप बोलेंगे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का होता है, एक्सेप्ट ऑब्वियसली नेशनल कैपिटल टेरिटरी दिल्ली. तो पुलिस के ऊपर जैसे कंट्रोल स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का है, वैसे फॉरेस्ट के ऊपर भी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल करती है. और आप देखोगे दैट देयर इज अ फॉरेस्ट मिनिस्ट्री इन एवरी स्टेट ऑल्सो. But this we are talking about the Ministry of Forest, Environment and Climate Change for central government. So it is a part of central government, and what is the main activities? Plan karna, promotion, coordination, oversee the implementation of India's environment and forest policies. Who make these policies and laws? Legislature में ये policies वगैरह बनती हैं, and कुछ part executive भी बनाते हैं, but largely it is from the law, from the legislature. And what are the main activities or function? You know, that was the main topic given. What are the main functions? Answer is conservation and survey of flora and fauna. You know what is flora and fauna? Vegetation and animal. So animal also come in that, vegetation also come in that. Flora and fauna of India, forest and other wilderness area, prevention and control of pollution. Afforestation. Afforestation means जंगल लगाना. Deforestation means उनको काट देना. एंड लैंड डिग्रेडेशन मिटिगेशन, लैंड का भी कंट्रोल करना, एंड दिस इज व्हाट इट इज डन. एंड ऑल्सो रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर नेशनल पार्क. यू मस्ट हैव विजिटेड सम नेशनल पार्क, तो उनको भी कंट्रोल यही मिनिस्ट्री करती है. आई विल से दिस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पैराग्राफ इन एंटायर दिस टॉपिक. So from this you get to know what actually this ministry is doing, what activities: conservation of flora and fauna, survey. You know what is the meaning of this? Suppose I want to know how much is the forest area in India, that is called forest survey. So that activity also it is doing. Conservation, so national park, conservation of the forest. You cannot basically destroy the forest wealth of India. So that conservation part of flora and fauna, flora fauna mein animals also are included. Forest and other areas, pollution ko control karna, afforestation karna, degradation, land degradation ko rokna, these all are its activities. And you know, there is one service which is called Indian Forest Services, that is basically 3 all India services mein se ek all India services hai. So what are the other 2 all India services? Sir, Indian Administration Services and Indian Police Services. So what is the meaning of that? The meaning is these services are controlled by central government, central ministries. Like Ministry of Personnel, which is under Prime Minister, controls IAS, Indian Administration Services. Similarly, Home Ministry controls Indian Police Services. And which ministry controls Indian Forest Services? This ministry controls Indian Forest Services. So how many all India services are there in India? 3 all India services. Which are they? IAS, IPS and IFS. Do not misunderstand IFS as Indian Foreign Services. It is Indian Forest Services. So roughly if I tell you what is all India services, is that service in which you are assigned some cadre or state. Once you become IAS officer, you will be assigned some state, that you go to Tamil Nadu, you go to Rajasthan cadre. But you will be controlled by overall by central government. There will be a ministry in the central government, though you will serve in the state. So you serve in the state as agent of central government. So as I told in the polity, no, you understand that India is a federation. Federation means where state governments will also exist and central government will also exist. But India is a federation with strong unitary features. That simply means central government is strong. And what makes central government strong? The all India services officers. IAS officer has more inclination towards its ministry, central government, than state government. So whenever some central government wants to control some state or emergency lagti hai, so all these officers will become as officers, they will act for central government. Anyhow, need not to go for that in detail, but you need to understand that which all India services is controlled by this ministry, or Indian Foreign Services kahan pe aati hain? Is ministry ke under aati hain. That is a cadre ministry for that. Now, primary concern of this ministry is implementation. As I told you, implementation of policies and programs related to conservation of natural resources ka conservation. These are the functions. Conservation of natural resources, including lakes and rivers. Second, it's biodiversity, forest, wildlife, ensuring the welfare of animal, flora and fauna. You understand? Animal also, forest also. Prevention and abatement of pollution. So what we are talking about, natural resource की conservation होना चाहिए, flora and fauna, biodiversity, welfare of animal, pollution को control करना है, all these things. And this is basically by the principle of sustainable development and enhancing human well-being. Do you know what is sustainable development? That development which does not degrade the environment. If you want to develop yourself, if you want to create road and cut the forest, then afforestation भी साथ में करो. कहीं से अगर जंगल काटने पड़ जाए, हाईवे जा रहा है, जंगल काटना पड़ जाए, तो कहीं पे जंगल लगाओ भी. Afforestation also you have to parallelly do, so that environment degradation is not there and we have some kind of sustainable development. I mean, development should be long term sustainable. That is the meaning of it. Now this is also, ministry is a nodal agency. That means any international body, whenever they want to do something in India related to these domains, then this is the ministry. That is the meaning of nodal agency. किस किस के लिए? United Nations Environment Program, Asia South Asia Cooperative Environment Program, International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, and United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. The most important among them is United Nations Environment Program. Sometime I will discuss United Nations with you, and I will tell you there are different organizations of United Nations, like World Health Organization. In case of coronavirus nowadays, which international agency is coordinating all the countries? United Nations का कौन सा agency? World Health Organization. So similarly, environment के लिए भी आपके पास agency है, finance में World Bank है, IMF है. So उसको कौन आपका nodal agency करेगा? यही ministry आपकी उसमें नोडल एजेंसी रहेगा. मिनिस्ट्री को कुछ और काम दिए गए हैं. सम अनदर एक्टिविटीज आर आल्सो गिवन व्हेन इज बेसिकली मल्टीलेटरल बॉडीज हैं, जैसे कमीशन ऑन सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, ग्लोबल एनवायरनमेंट फैसिलिटीज एंड रीजनल बॉडीज आर देयर with which this ministry will basically coordinates. Now there are basically South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. South Asia, no, India जिस जगह पे है, this country are called South Asia. Asia is a very big continent, and you know Asia is divided into different domains. So there is a basically South Asia, there is a Southeast Asia, there is a East Asia, so Central Asia. So these are different domains. इंडिया एज अ कंट्री इज इन साउथ एशिया, यू नो. तो साउथ एशियन एसोसिएशन है, कुछ कंट्रीज हैं उसके अंदर, उनका कॉपरेशन, रीजनल कॉपरेशन, उसके लिए भी दिस एजेंसी मिनिस्ट्री इज द नोडल एजेंसी फॉर दैट. Again, main activities undertaken by the ministry, as I told you, the most important part is this only, which I think I've already discussed with you. That is the most important part. Main important activities of the ministries are, read this particular thing again. This is what we have already discussed. This is the most important function of these ministries. So what are the broad functions of the ministries? Remember it. Exam may the most probable question can be, what are the main functions of this ministry? So conservation and survey of flora, fauna, forest, wildlife, prevention and control of pollution, afforestation and regeneration of degraded areas. The areas जहां पे आपने forestation, deforestation किया है, वहां पे पेड़ लगाओ, so that it can be preserved. Protection of environment and welfare of the animal, that all is a part of that. Now you see there are some important laws or legislations which you should be aware. Environment Protection Act 1986 is something which is very, very important. And what is the main role of that? Is main objective, protection and improvement of the environment. You see, the most important part here is when this act was formed, 1986. So exam you can get a question, which of the following law or legislation is most important or is entrusted with protection of the environment? So he might give you four choices: Environment Protection Act 1986, 1982 or something like that. Fine. Okay, so prevention of environment pollution is something which is basically the most important part of that. So this amendment keeps on changing. Who makes this laws, acts? Parliament makes it, and whenever Parliament makes some change in this, that is called amendment. So it is not important. What is most important is that when this law was enacted, that is the most important part for that. Now, Public Liability Insurance Act is also related. If you go to the site of ministry, you will find that ministry has certain activities to do. I don't think this is very important part. This industrial safety, maybe we will see that, but it was related to this ministry also. Forest conservation. Now, Scheduled Tribe and Other Traditional Forest Dweller Act 2006. This is also one of the act, not very important, don't worry about that. So this act is also related to the Forest Conservation Act 1980. So again, now Forest Conservation Act 1980 is basically to conserve the country's forest. So forest ki direction mein which act you have to protect the forest, this is the act. And when you protect the forest, you are also to basically think of this scheduled tribes, the tribals which are living in the forest. You see, forest is made up of three things: flora, fauna, and people inside that particular forest, which we call tribal people. Flora, fauna means the vegetations, the trees, the natural resources, and the animals. You need to protect that. And the tribals also will gel up with them. So tribals will feel more comfortable to stay in forest. Uh, and you already know Andaman Nicobar, there are tribals which is basically protected areas. People cannot go there. They are protected areas. Government will not permit you to go into the tribal areas and disturb the life of the tribal people. So tribal people, along with forest and along with animals, they have their own lifestyle. So you need to protect that, and for that Forest Protection Act is also created. So Forest Conservation Act 1980 is related to that only. So Indian Forest Act basically was created in for this particular purpose only. So strictly it restricts and regulates the basically mobility inside the forest, and it is basically protected by this particular act only. So this is another important act. The most important act is Environment Protection Act 1986. It has broader perspective. Then comes your Forest Protection Act. So environment के अंदर forest is one domain. Then you know there is a tribunal which is called a National Green Tribunal. This topic has already been covered for engineering services in detail by Suklani sir. So National Green Tribunal is nothing but I'll say quasi judicial bodies. जैसे हाई कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट है वो तो जुडिशियल बॉडीज हैं, लेकिन फॉर स्पेसिफिक पर्पस लाइक water dispute tribunal, rivers are flowing between different states. So let's say two states started fighting for the water of particular river, then the case will go to where? If the case goes to high court, supreme court, which are already overburdened with so many cases, then it may be delayed. So for particular specific purpose, tribunals are created, you know, like central administrative tribunals where central government employees can go with their job related issues, right? Central administrative tribunal, river dispute tribunals. Vessy, there's a National Green Tribunal. So this is a this is a quasi judicial bodies, and this is created to basically take care of. When was it formed? When it came into existence, that year is very important for expeditious, you know, effective and fast disposal of cases related to environment protection and conservation of the forest and other natural resources, including enforcement of legal right related to these particular things. So you know, this basically for any damage compensation, if it is to be given for damage to the person and property for matters connected to these particular things, these all cases are handled by National Green Tribunal. In my opinion, this is important topic, National Green Tribunal. When was it formed, and what is the main purpose of forming this particular tribunal, and all the environmental disputes and legal disputes related to environment, they are listened in this particular thing. You should also read this line that it is not bound by civil procedure code. You know, there is a criminal procedure code, there is a civil procedure code, CRPC, and Indian Penal Code is also there, IPC, CRPC, civil procedure codes. So it is not basically controlled by that, but principle of natural justice. Even your High Court, Supreme Court are basically governed by principle of natural justice. So similar to that, it is also on the basis of principle to natural justice only flows the laws in this National Green Tribunal. That means related to environment, all the cases go there. So it has dedicated jurisdiction in the environmental matters, and it provides the fast environmental justice to these kind of litigations, and the main purpose is to reduce the burden of litigations in the high courts, higher courts. Higher courts means Supreme Court, High Court, etc. So they can be handled here only. So this is something which is very, very important for us. So National Green Tribunal, you should know that is the body which is created for this purpose. Indian Forest Services, I was telling you, All India Services mein, it was constituted in 1966 under All India Services Act 1951 was formed. Immediately after independence, government made one All India Services Act 1951, and Indian Forest Services was constituted in 1966 into that. So in the beginning there was basically Indian Administration Services, Police Services, but this was in 1966. And what is the main purpose of this? Implementation, because executives implement national forest policies. And you know where the training of these people take place? Indian Forest Services, Dehradun mein there is a IFR, Indian Forest Research Institute. IFR very famous institute jahan pe aapki training वगैरह होता है. That is the main purpose for that. Okay, now there's a state forest departments also, as I told you that forest is the basically subject for states also, so that is going on there. Now what is forest? You know, forests are nothing but they are the lungs of any country. There's a sink where carbon dioxide can be properly eliminated, and purification of carbon dioxide into oxygen can be done. That is a work which lungs do in human body. Forests are also doing that. Now there is, as we discussed, that this ministry makes survey also. So Indian State Forest Report 2017, it has given that what is the percentage of forest area of total geographical area of India, that is obtained through forest survey. You know, conducting survey is also one of the function of this ministry. So as per that survey, 24 point approximately 4% of entire geographical area is under forest. And they have divided the forest also into 3 density classes. Very dense forests are there, moderately dense forests are also there, and then there is a open forest. So these are some kind of categories. And you know, India has rich forest types like tropical wet evergreen forest, tropical moist deciduous forest, tropical dry deciduous forest, etc. So what is the tropical areas? What are the basically temperate areas that you study in the geography? India is not a temperate country. Temperate countries may latitude has to be more actually, but India is towards the equator, so that weather comes out to be tropical weather. Tropical means hot and humid weather. You can think of that. The kind of weather we India has, गर्मी भी होती है यहाँ पे और ह्यूमिड भी होता है, because we are too close to equator. So उसी से हमारे पास forest areas बनते हैं. This data is important, which you should keep in mind that this is the data for that. इंडिया ने अपना एक स्ट्रॉन्ग लीगल सिस्टम बनाया है फॉरेस्ट सेक्टर को लेके, और कुछ पॉलिसीज है, जैसे नेशनल फॉरेस्ट पॉलिसी है, इंडियन फॉरेस्ट एक्ट है. These are some of the wildlife protection acts, etc. Now how to remember this? You just keep remembering in your mind when some act came. Like if we ask you wildlife protection act what, so we have already discussed forest act this year, environment protection act this year, similarly wildlife protection act which year. So these act and names you need to remember, that's it. So when was some act formed, that name is important for us. What do we understand by wildlife conservation? You know, wildlife means life in the forest, etc. So if there is some crime related issue, then there is a body, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. Wildlife Crime Control Bureau नाम याद रखना है. जैसे you know CBI you have, that is Bureau of Central Bureau of Investigation. So there is a bureau means a body created under some ministry or department for particular purpose. So there is a body, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. So any wildlife crime like टिम्बर से रिलेटेड या सैंडलवुड से रिलेटेड क्राइम होता था, कट कर लेते हैं ट्रीज को और उसको बेचते हैं, वो क्राइम है. यू नो, जंगल के अंदर कोई भी तरह का क्राइम, या एनिमल्स को मार देना, एलिफेंट्स को मार देना फॉर देयर ट्रंक और समथिंग, या लायंस को मार देना, दैट इज ऑल्ड वाइल्ड लाइफ क्राइम. सो उससे रिलेटेड एक ब्यूरो बना हुआ है, वाइल्ड लाइफ क्राइम कंट्रोल ब्यूरो, दैट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, एंड दैट इज वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 1972 के अंडर वो आता है. अंडर दिस सेक्शन इट इज क्रिएटेड. सो व्हाट इज टू बी रिमेंबर्ड? Anything which is related to wildlife basically crime, that is handled by this, and this is created under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. That is all you need to know. So I believe now these are some of the topics which I think you should go. And I told you the kind of material which I'm providing you, that is more than sufficient. Otherwise there is no dearth of there can be so much or more material, but I believe you need to very strategically, precisely read the things which are mentioned in the syllabus. So what is the most important thing that you need to read? What is to be memorized, that you need to go for that? And what kind of questions can be asked? You just see, I tell you the kind of questions you should know, what kind of question they can ask you. Which of the following is a nodal ministry for forest and environment in India? Name is important. He plays around this, like small things he plays around. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Climate change is the word which is to be added. Who among these is environment minister in India? You should know the name of environment minister, and I advise you to even visit the website of that ministry. Which of the following is law protecting wildlife in India? As I told you, there are some laws which are important. उनके नाम याद रखने हैं, कब वो law बना, these kind of things are important. Which of the following is specialized implementation body created under Wildlife Protection Act? So that is Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. That is what just now we discussed. Okay, now next is which of the following may not be function of environment? Function is a very important part of this topic which is mentioned in the syllabus. So all these are the functions, but yes, heritage siting, national park को administer करना is one of the part, but not heritage. Have we read that heritage को भी ये protect करेगा? That we have not read. So what is the total tree, this forest and tree cover area of total geographical area? That data is something which may be important for us. Which of the following is the specialized body created to handle environmental disputes? Yes, National Green Tribunal. When was it formed? 2010 May it was formed. Okay, which of the following is function of Ministry of Environment Forex? Because function is the important topic mentioned. So yes, afforestation. Vehicular pollution nahi, overall pollution it talks about. Welfare of forest habitat, not that. Overall forest sustainability and all. Legislative function is not ministry's job, ministry's implementation job. So I think most appropriate is afforestation. So these are kind of question which you can think of from this particular topic he might ask. These questions I'm giving you just to provide you an idea that up to what depth you are to read and what kind of question you can expect in this exam. I tell you, this exam is going to be important exam for you, and in this exam the only thing which is going to matter is strategy of preparation. Every section is important. How much to read, how to prepare, where the most important thing is to be focused, that is something which you are to think of. Like wildlife conservation, these are the topics which we have done. I think they are more or less the most important part. I have told you what is to be remembered. So this was the Ministry of Environment Forest key functions. So what is this ministry all about? What are the various agencies under this ministries, and what are the main key functions of these agencies? Take these notes, read these notes, and keep noting all the things. Kyoto Protocol I have already covered with you. Next my video will be Center Pollution Control Board. Easy topics are there. Just read this and that will be more than sufficient. Thank you.